Welcome back to the channel. I'm doing absolutely fine. So it's been forever since I have uploaded any kind of a book review, but lately I have just finished reading The Twisted Love by Ana Huang, and it is the first part of the entire series. So it was good. It was not as I had expected, because it becomes very cliche and the story becomes very Bollywood style. If you're from India and if you've seen any Bollywood films, then you might even predict the main climax of who exactly this is. But all in all, spoiler alert before I start giving out the entire story and how the entire book is going to be. It is a very light read. It is between, to give you the basic premise, it is a story about a girl who falls in love for a guy, and she, and both of them are kind of in a twisted relationship with respect to their past, and how the whole story kind of entangles around themselves. So the climax is kind of okay. It is a light read. It is I think around 300ish pages if you include the epilogue as well. But you should be able to complete this in like a month or two. I'm a very slow reader. I literally don't get that much time, but it is all in all, it is a very amazing book to start with. And now, spoiler warning, I'm just going to tell you how the whole story is. And if you are a person who don't want to waste or kind of invest your whole 1 and 2 like so much time in reading all these pages, then this video is for you. The story of Twisted Love. So the story starts in such a way that there is a girl named Eva, and she's living with her brother named Josh, and Josh has a best friend whose name is Alex. So once Josh moves towards a new school, Alex kind of comes in and stays in the. He kind of becomes the guy next door, and that is when their story kind of starts. It is very complicated. She is just a kind of a happy-go-lucky girl, and he has been shown to be like a very cold-hearted guy, and they kind of start their story from there, like how he kind of falls for her, and that is when we get the whole story. And once they are kind of together, they kind of dig into his past. Eva has a very brutal background story, where her mother had kind of died in because it has been said that she kind of committed a suicide, but her father was not literally her real father, which was the whole climax. She was being like her mom kind of cheated on his father, and later on he got to know that she wasn't literally his child, and that is when the whole story changes. Her brother is still her father's son, but she isn't. And that was one of the major background story, because she keeps having these very weird dreams wherein she's drowning, but that literally was her childhood, because her dad kind of tried to kill her, which is bizarre, right? And after that we get to know that her dad is also involved in a lot of other criminal things, and he eventually gets arrested. Talking about Alex's backstory, his entire family was kind of murdered by his own uncle, and that too because his uncle liked his brother's wife, which was Alex's mother, and his entire family was literally killed right in front of his eyes. And that is the reason kind of he becomes this person, and he becomes cold-hearted, and his whole life is kind of surrounded in taking the revenge from his from his family's killer. But right until the climax of the story, we don't get to know that his uncle was the culprit and he was the murderer, and that is when the whole plot changes. His uncle has kind of brought him up since his childhood, but he has made him to believe that Eva's father, Michael, was the main killer. So all along his childhood, it was his plan to go ahead and like frame Michael, and that is when we get to know how he has been plotting this for his whole life, and Eva was just a part of his plan, is what he tells his uncle when he confronts him. And that is when we are already in almost 70 or 80% of the book, where this whole thing happens, and Eva is kind of literally disturbed, and because she obviously confronts her ex-father, kind of if you say that, Michael, about how he had kind of murdered his wife, her mother, and he had been betrayed her for her entire life, and now even Alex did the same thing. So she kind of just moves her destination. She got into photography school, which was initially going to be in New York, but now she's going in London. And obviously Alex, the worst part, which I still cannot digest, is Alex literally shot bullets into his uncle's chest, and he's still not being arrested, or nothing literally happens to him. Obviously he would be having his own contacts, but then he follows Eva, and he moves to London, and we have that whole chasing sequence of the airport. But one thing I liked is they did not repeat the airport chase where he literally meets her, but she just takes off. And he then moves to London. He resigns from his CEO position, and then they kind of still kind of rekindle their love, and that is how it kind of ends. But there is the most surprising part about this whole story is I thought the story would extend from their own perspectives. So there are two POVs in the book. There is Eva and there is Adam. There is Eva and there is Alex. Sorry, and the whole story kind of flows in the same way, where you get a different perspective, but the story is in the flow, which is one very good thing which I liked about the book. But there are other side characters, like there is Bridget, who is Eva's friend, and I'm so surprised to see that the next part is going to be from Bridget's point of view. I mean, how is that even possible? Because we've been linked to these two characters as the main POV, and how it's even navigating the whole story to a different point of view. I would love to see how that goes, but trying to invest into two different new characters which were just a side character in this specific book is something which I'm surprised about. But let's see how it goes. So that is it for all in all story. If you still find this book as you could read it, you can just read it from I'm using Kindle, and it is a light read. As I said, it is a very interesting book. You still get involved in there is still that cheesy thing about how you could feel about both the characters, but all in all, yes, it is an amazing read to watch. So thank you so very much if you're still watching until here. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't subscribed yet. I'm seeing you next video.